you say that in societies with fewer economic disparities, they perform better, not just for those at the bottom or the middle, but for everybody. And you cite Singapore as an example. Now, you know, the founder of modern Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, just died recently. Many Americans probably remember Singapore because some poor American who threw a piece of gum on the street got imprisoned. But why do you hold Singapore up as an example?
Well, it's not an example for human rights, let me say, but in terms of the issue of economics, it's a really interesting example. When Singapore got independent, it was in the 60s, they had 25% unemployment. They were part of Malaya, it was called Malaya at the time, and Malaya didn't want all these Chinese there, and so it threw Singapore out. And Singapore said, you know, Lee Kuan Yew cried. It was a very famous moment, because he said, how are we going to survive? And then he figured out, and what he created is a Singapore model. So what did he do? He worked very hard to make sure that everybody got educated, everybody had housing, everybody got health care, everybody had a retirement program. And the country went from really very, very poor to richer than the United States in a span of 45 years. You know, you see those charts. A lot of those charts were in the newspaper right after he died, and you could see how he started. You know, I don't know the exact number, maybe $300 per capita, and now it's a higher per capita income than the United States. A real amazing achievement.
And they don't have the vast disparity in income than we have.
Well, at the very, very top, there are a lot of people who've come there to launders to protect their rich assets, but over the vast majority of their citizens, much greater equality. And as I say, they provided healthcare, housing. You know, they really transformed their society. One of the other points, one of the other examples I talk about in the book is Mauritius. That's a small island, another island bigger than Singapore, but they were actually very influenced by Singapore. One of the advantages of my job is I get to travel around to lots of different places and see what's going on and meet different people. And a few years ago, as I said, I was in Mauritius and I wrote an article that's contained there. And here's this very, relatively poor island off the coast of Africa, but it has chosen a strategy of trying to bring people together, a kind of shared economy, and it is the fastest, among the fastest growing economies in Africa. And you can see what's happening. And what's interesting about it, and when I wrote the article, I got an enormous response. They provide free health care for everybody, free university education for everybody, and free public transportation for the young people because that's the country's future, and for the old people because they owe them such a debt.
How are the roads and bridges?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than New York. So the point I'm making is, if a relatively poor country like that can choose to make those kind of decisions, we are a rich country, we could do the same. So the degree of inequality we have is a matter of choice.